My sister Sophie made sure everyone at her wedding knew I was the pathetic single one. She sat me at the reject table, introduced me as still looking for love, and even had her bridesmaids gossip about my love life. But then a stranger leaned in and whispered, "Act like you're with me." That was the moment her perfect day turned into my perfect revenge. I'm Clara, and this is how my sister's cruelty backfired. Sophie and I had never been close. She got engaged to a rich banker named Daniel, and ever since, she made it her mission to remind me I was 32 and still single. She'd say things like, "Time is running out, Clara. Maybe try dating apps again." Even on her wedding morning, she called me just to warn me not to look too miserable in the photos. When I arrived at the reception, her maid of honor led me to table 12, the singles table. It was stuck in the corner near the kitchen. Around me sat random single coworkers and our old Aunt Margaret, who kept asking if I'd thought about lowering my standards. The real sting came when Sophie dragged me over to meet Daniel's wealthy relatives. Smiling sweetly, she introduced me as our little career woman, too busy for love. They patted my arm and gave me pity advice about church groups and fertility. Sophie laughed while I burned with embarrassment. It only got worse. During the bouquet toss, her friend forced me to join the crowd of young cousins. Sophie locked eyes with me, smirked, and deliberately threw the flowers away from me. Everyone laughed. I felt humiliated enough to leave. That's when I heard a voice behind me. "Act like you're with me." I turned to see a tall, confident man in a sharp suit. His name was James, Daniel's cousin. He sat with me, smiled warmly, and acted like we were close. Heads turned immediately. Sophie noticed and her smile slipped. When she came over, James introduced himself as an old friend of mine. I added that I like to keep my private life private. Sophie didn't know how to react. She hated not being in control. For the rest of the night, James played the part perfectly. He got me drinks, laughed with me, even asked me to dance. People who'd pitted me earlier now looked at me with respect and curiosity. Sophie kept staring, clearly furious that I was suddenly the center of attention. At one point, James even stood up to her. When Sophie tried to cut into our dance, he said firmly, "Actually, we're having a moment." Then, in front of everyone, he told her to stop humiliating me and start treating me with respect. She was speechless. By the end of the night, he made sure we sat at a better table, introduced me proudly to others, and treated me like I mattered. The final blow came during the garter toss. James caught it, then slipped it gently onto my leg in front of the entire room. Sophie looked like she was about to explode. Later, outside by my car, I thanked him. I said, "I know tonight was just an act." But James looked me in the eye and said, "What makes you think it was?" That was the beginning of something real. Within a year, we were engaged. Sophie, who once mocked me for being single, had to watch me marry a man who truly loved me. In the end, my revenge wasn't about making her jealous. It was about finding real happiness and realizing I didn't need her approval. Ironically, her cruelty pushed me right into the arms of the love of my life.